I've been out of the dark wood of Shadevale for almost 3 months now. I left quietly, like a small leaf falling from the massive trees growing from the remains of the old one, perhaps unnoticed, or perhaps risking punishment for abandoning my post in the Vale. But my brethren began asking questions I wasn't ready to answer. Questions about my past. You see, they don't know that my father was Saroscient, the exiled warrior of Shadevale who had to flee for his life decades ago. I was only a young elf at the time, and my father will not speak of the reasons. But it must have been bad, and I've heard rumors of some kind of betrayal. I'm not even sure I want to know, and if I begin prying, I fear they will realize that I am his son. This fear overtook me, and is the reason I left, for a time. To earn some coin and put my sword to use, I've begun to share the road with a few other wayfaring souls, and we've discovered a sinister plot. A rogue Convoker has gathered a small army, and they are planning destruction for the people of the Southlands. I care only a little for the cause, but in the heat of battle, I find release for my anger. I find a strange peace in the dance of combat. The dwarves I am with are braggadocious and foolhardy, but they have good hearts, and I respect their prowess. The half-elf wizard I pitied at first, but now I'm seeing a passion and power that should be more an object of envy. Yet it is nothing. I have to admit I'm enjoying myself in their company. The rhythm we've found cannot match the disciplined cadence of the Shadevale Guard, but we've had success thus far. There is a strange brotherhood in spilt blood, and I find myself beginning to relax in their presence.
Hey everybody, you're watching WASD20. My name is Nate, and I'm here today with my very first player journal. I've done a couple of GM journals so far, just kind of reflecting on the process of GMing various games and kind of my progress as a GM or DM. And now I'm going to be doing the same with playing in role-playing games. I have two characters who I'm playing quite a bit in role-playing games right now. So today I'm going to be talking about Aerdon Saroscient and what it's like to play this character. He's my character in the Provokers game. I'll put the link to those games down in the description below, but it's D&D 5th edition, and our DM is Matt Click, who runs the channel A Fistful of Dice, so check out his channel. So in playing this character, I've had a number of great experiences, and I've also had some real challenges. I think, first off, a little background on how I created the character. At the time, back in August of 2014, I was very new to role-playing games. I had only played 2 other characters ever, and probably about 4 or 5 actual game sessions of role-playing game. That was my first session with D&D 5th edition. So one of the things I wanted to do when I created Aerdon was create a character who was very different from me, because up to that point, the characters I had played in role-playing games were indistinguishable from me. I made characters that were very much like myself, and that became kind of hard to roleplay because it became hard to distinguish and draw a line between when is this Nate and when is this Malcolm, or when is this what's my other guy's name, Diedrich. So yeah, it was kind of hard to do that, and I wanted to make a clean break between Nate and character, and so Aerdon was the result of that. So Aerdon is very different from me in a lot of ways. Aerdon is very stoic. Aerdon is kind of a jerk, to be honest. He's a very cold person in a lot of ways, or a cold elf, I suppose. And he, is not a leader, certainly. He is content to sit in the background and watch, and if he likes where things are going, sure, he'll go along, and if he doesn't, he'll leave. So he's not a leader. He's also not afraid of conflict. He welcomes conflict, and he loves a good fight. Alright, now let's talk about me. Well, I consider myself to be kind of a nice guy, possibly to a fault. I'm very much a peacemaker. When I see conflict, I tend to rush in and try to want to try to smooth things over. And I consider myself a leader in a lot of ways, kind of a consensus builder. I'm a teacher, so in some ways I have to be, but I've also had a lot of other leadership positions, and when I'm in a group of people, I tend to assume naturally a leadership role, and Aerdon is not that way. And so I think I've been successful, in making sure that Aerdon is not a leader, even though that's not natural for me. My natural tendency is to rush in and take leadership. Aerdon might be a bit pushy, and he might kind of want to push things forward from time to time, but I think honestly that might be my inexperience and just wanted to get on with the game. So yeah, in my very first game with Provokers, there was a really steep learning curve for me, and I wasn't expecting to roleplay so heavily because I'd never done it before. I had never really seen it done before either. But the other guys who I'm playing with, they're amazing, and they really stepped it up right out of the gate and, you know, showed me what it meant to role play. And Matt, as our DM, really encouraged it. And, you know, right off the bat, what is your character doing? And I kind of froze. I don't know what my character is doing right now. And so it was a really steep learning curve again, describing my actions in such great detail. And I've begun to try to speak in my character's voice more often and not break immersion. Whereas I think I did quite a bit at first when we were playing. There was also, you know, in the first game, it was my first tavern brawl that I'd ever been in a role-playing game. So I think you maybe saw some inexperience from me there, because what did Aerdon do in that brawl? Well, he pulls out his sword and he shanks this half-orc who we got in a fight with, right? Everyone else is using their fists, and here comes Aerdon with his sword, right? So yeah, bringing a sword to a fist fight. Oh well, so Aerdon has a bad temper, I suppose, and tends to fly off the handle. And he also has some PTSD. He's haunted by memories of war in the soldier background. You can read about that in the 5e Player's Handbook. Those are all things that may have contributed to that. But yeah, it's been a steep learning curve for me, but I'm really enjoying the game. It's a lot of fun. Aerdon is challenging to play because he's not a fun guy. He is very, again, serious and stoic. So yeah, it's been a challenge. You know, how do you make a very stoic character interesting? I don't know. I pose that question to you. If you have suggestions, I'd love to hear them. Thanks for joining me for this player journal. I look forward to more. The Provokers are playing again on February 22, so make sure you tune in for that. And until next time, everybody take care. Happy gaming.